Hello everyone, my name is Ariana Blažić and I'm very pleased to be leading this webinar about digital content curation on behalf of eTwinning Croatia. Welcome to the webinar. This meeting is being recorded and it will be published online on the eTwinning website. So let's start with the question that I asked when I announced this webinar. Do you feel overwhelmed? This is a new expression that was coined because of the information overload that we all suffer from, because we have so much information at our fingertips and sometimes we feel lost. As it always happens, at least to me, and I'm sure it happens to many of you, that we find so many good websites, so many great tools or interesting blog posts online when we don't need them. We don't need them at this moment, but then we want to save them for later. And we do save them. For example, I tweet about some great things that I find online, or I bookmark them. But then when I really need them, when that later really comes, I simply cannot find this great blog post anymore or this great tool. You all know, and I'm sure you are all familiar with this saying, that when we want to find something online, on the internet, it is like taking a drink from a fire hydrant. So it's really difficult to find a piece of information, an interesting blog post just like that online. And so the question is, how can we find good, high quality content online? And the answer, of course, is content curation. Content curation means actually collecting and sorting out the information we find on the web. For example, I collect fridge magnets. Here you can see my collection of fridge magnets. And curating is similar to collecting, but there are also some differences. Before I tell you more about the differences, let's see what you collect. So I'm going to start a poll now about your collection. So I don't mean online collection. I want you to write what you collect or what you used to collect when you were kids. So let's start. Let me start. Can you please type your answer here in this box, not in the chat box, but on the, yes, okay. People, pencils, books, magnets, bookmarks. What else? Paper napkins. I used to collect that too. Then cups and teapots, mugs, stamps. Me too. Books, yes. I also have a huge collection of books, napkins, stamps, books, fridge magnets. There are also some of you who collect fridge magnets, just like me. Hearts, I know who that is, who collects hearts, stickers, cacti and other plants, paper dolls, pencils, owls. Okay, cups, English books, perfumes or magnets, so many nice things that you collect. So we have 33 different answers. So I'm sure you will now understand the difference between collecting and curating, because all of us collect something, or all of us used to collect so many different things. So I'm now going to close it. Marisa, you have to you have to, we'll do some polls later on, but what you have to do is just write in this tiny little box, and then we'll see if it works. So here I want to point your attention to the work of Nancy White, an American educator, who wrote about content curation in 2012, and she compared collections and curations, collecting and curating different things based on different criteria. So the first criteria is thinking level. Oh, I don't know why G is in the second row. I'm sorry for that. So so on the thinking level, collecting means that we just classify things. For example, one part of my fridge might be about the magnets from the US, the other from Europe. Whereas in curating, we think critically and we synthesize and evaluate the information we find. The process for collecting, for example, fridge magnets or whatever you collect, is somewhat random. You don't think about it when you travel to a different country. You don't think about traveling to a country because of the magnets. But curating means cherry-picked reading. Cherry-picked here means that you only want to collect the nicest cherries. So in curation, it means that you want to find the best content. And if you are interested in a topic, then of course you do a lot of digging. You dig deeply to find information, and so it is something continuous that you do as opposed to collecting. As far as the organization of your collection is concerned, collection is of course thematic, and curating is also contextual. It means that we have to think about the context for which we are collecting material, and then we will know what content we should discard and what content we should retain. It also has to do with examples, for example, what we want to show and share with our colleagues. The value that we give to our collection is personal, and quantity is more important than quality. At least that's what I do when with my fridge magnet collection. And curating is, of course, more about quality, as Helena says, more selective. That's right. And finally, my fridge magnet collection is only in my kitchen. You can't see it unless you visit me here in Zagreb in Croatia. Whereas curating is shared. So this is also one of the main purposes of curating, that it is shared with our peers, with our colleagues. Yes, Marisa, you are always very welcome. So let's start with this guide to becoming a good digital content curator. And let's start with the first step with the beginners, and then we'll end as advanced users. So at the beginning, the first and the most important thing is to choose a topic. It doesn't necessarily have to be only one topic, but you can choose so many different topics because you are interested in many different topics. For example, what I curate refers to online quizzes, to augmented reality, and right now, because I'm doing this course on project-based learning, this is also one of my topics. What about you? What topic or topics are you passionate about? So let's do another poll, and let's see if you can all write in it. Marisa, try now as well. The question is, what are you passionate about? So as I said, I'm passionate about online quizzes. So we have web tools, math, edtech, animation, tools. So these can all be topics that you want to curate content of. English grammar, Harry Potter fictional worlds, animation, environment, science, photos, theater, web tools, games, STEM. Great. Oh, I can make it bigger, just a moment. Folklore, the rights of indigenous people, traveling, PLN, ESL, cinema, CLIL, literature. So as you can see, there are 61 of us right now here, and we have 36 answers. Can you all write in Marisa, it worked for you? That's great. Just type your answer here in this box. Let me, oh, sorry, I pointed at it and it disappeared. I'll bring it back. It's here, so let me try with the pointer. Svetlana says it doesn't work for you. No, if I click the pointer, I can't hold the poll on the same screen, so I'm sorry. I will have to explain where you should write your answer. So it's right here on top, below view vote. What are you passionate about? You type your answer here. So we have some new answers: creative drama, and then PBL as well, crafts, folk dance, so many different things. 46 answers. So Jelka is connected with her mobile, so maybe it doesn't work on mobile phones. Okay, great. Thank you so much for your answers. So now we just passed step 1. You have chosen your topic, and as I said, it doesn't have to be only one topic. You can curate content on so many different topics. So I'm going to hide it now and go on with the presentation, and there will be time for more polls and questions. The second step is to find information, and that's what I already gave you a hint at at the beginning with the information overload. Of course, everything is online, and so is our personal learning network. These are all the people who we connect with on different networks. For example, eTwinning is my personal learning network. eTwinning groups, for example, the ESL eTwinning group is also my personal learning network. People in different Facebook groups also for my network, and on Twitter as well. So I learn from all these people from different walks of life, well, mostly teachers, but teachers or educators who teach different subjects and come from different countries and teach it in different types of schools. There are, of course, so many great websites and blogs that are written by my peers, by those people from my personal learning network, and also great websites and blogs written by some institutions like Edutopia, Mindshift, and so many others. So how can we keep track? It would be best, of course, that we could serve all these great websites every day, but I'm sure you don't have time, no one does, to visit every of these favorite sites that we like every day to check if this person has published a new post, if they have updated their website. But there is something that can help us, and this is RSS. RSS is means really simple syndication. It means that this is actually our news feed. We subscribe to a blog, to a website, and then their content, whenever it is published, comes to our reader, to our RSS reader. So it is actually the same when if you, for example, subscribe to a magazine and they send it to you to your real address, and you get it by snail mail. So it's the same. Of course, the difference is that this is online. So you subscribe to a website, and then you get the updates, all the updates from this website. And Helena, you can't hear me? Are there any other problems with the connection? Can you hear me? No. Okay, you can hear me. Fine. Maybe, Helena, you should check your audio settings. So there are some tools that you might be familiar with. For example, these are the most popular tools, RSS tools, news readers like Feedly or Flipboard, Pocket, Dig Reader, and Google FeedBurner. So before I go on, I have a new poll for you. Do you RSS? So my question is not if you which of these tools you use, but just do you RSS? Yes or no? So now you can click either yes or no. Have you subscribed? Have you started such a RSS reader which collects all the websites that you like? So we have yes, 18 of you, that's 38% have voted yes, and 29, 31, that's 63% no. So let's wait. For now, there are about 50 answers, and there are 64 of us here. So maybe someone, Wilson asked, what does it mean to have, what does it mean RSS? RSS is means really simple syndication. It means that you syndicate the content, and basically it means that you subscribe to all the websites that you like, and then you get all the content that they published in one reader. So this is your reader. This is your magazine where all the articles from other websites are published. Now I'm going to close this poll, and I'm going to show you what I do and how I keep track with all these fantastic websites. This is my favorite news reader, or RSS. It's called Feedly. Are you familiar with it? Do you use it? Can you please type yes or no in the chat box? No? Okay. No, most of you don't use Feedly. Thank you, Anna, for the link. By the way, I have all these links on my website, so I'll give you the link later on. So you will be able to access all these tools and resources. So let me show you how Feedly works. Here on the left-hand side in this green box, you can see some names. These are all the names of the websites or people's blogs that I find interesting and that I want to read. And on the right hand side, these thumbnails show me the posts that people from these websites have published today. So this is what came to my feed, to my news feed today. And as you can see on the left, there is, for example, Hack Education is a website that I like, and there are still 7 articles that I haven't read. Or on Larry Cuban's website, there are 13. Larry Ferlazzo, I haven't read 192 articles that he has written. So this is where I see all the websites which I'm subscribed to, and on the right I can see thumbnails. But if I'm not really a visual type, I can also choose for all these websites to be shown in this way. So the display can be different, either thumbnails or just the title of the website. And now how I can add the website to, for example, I find a new website that I want to follow. This is really easy. I just click here on Discover and Follow. That is right now in the green box. And this is what happens. I get a search box and I can type whatever I want. If I know the name of the website, I can write its title. I can write the URL if I know it, or if I don't, I can just write the topic. For example, when I started to curate the content on project-based learning, I just wrote project-based learning, and this is what Feedly gave me. So Feedly recommended some websites that I should follow, and here I can also see that this part of Edutopia, there are 89 readers, so maybe not so many people know it, maybe I won't add it, or it depends. They publish 2 articles per week, and I can click on the plus to add it to my news feed. Or if I have already added it, Feedly will tell me, for example, that I already have the BIE, Bach Institute for Education, that I already have them in my feed, so I won't need to add it again. It will be impossible, actually. So when I click on the plus sign, this is what appears on the right, on the left-hand side. There is a list of my my collections. For example, education technology, or I can start a new collection, for example, project-based learning, and just add it to this collection. And it will appear on the main page of the newsfeed. So this is how it works. It's really simple, isn't it? What do you think? Yes, so imagine that you just because no one has so much time to visit all our favorite websites every day to see if these people, the owners, have published something new. So this is the best way to stay updated. Okay, and then let's go on with the third step. It is about filtering content. So as I mentioned at the beginning, with collections, we collect everything. We don't focus on quality but quantity, but here we have to focus on quality. So what we do is actually we filter, or we use a sifter to sift through through information we collect, and keep only the content that matters, the content that is relevant. However, when collecting and filtering content on the web, we must be aware of some pitfalls. And the first one that I'm going to mention right now is filter bubbles. Maybe you've heard of filter bubbles. It is an expression coined by Eli Pariser, an internet activist, and I'll give you a link to his YouTube video, a TED Talk, about filter bubbles. What he says is that when we search the internet, the website algorithm decides actually what results we will get. So it's not up to us what information we will get, but it is up to a website algorithm. And it actually guesses what type of information we are interested in. And it is in this type of information is based on our search history, on our location, on our clicks, on our likes. And I'm sure you all know that already, that when you search for something on Google, or it doesn't necessarily have to be the same site that I will get if I search for the same term, for the same expression, for the same term. And for example, it's obvious that based on the location, if I search for holidays in the mountain, I will get a different results than someone who searches for holidays in the mountains in the United States, for example. And of course, there are so many other things that influence this search. And also Facebook. You know that whenever you search for something, then immediately a few minutes later you will see so many advertisements on your Facebook page for what you just search on Google. And sometimes I think that Facebook can even hear what I'm talking about here at my home. It's not that I'm paranoid, and or maybe I am a little bit, but it is about to understand how this works, that all these algorithms actually create our own internet, our own filter bubble that differs from the internet or the filter bubbles of other people. It's really true. You can try it on Facebook and Google, and you will see that pay attention to the advertisements that they publish on the sites that you visit. So this is one of the pitfalls, because you think, for example, if you want to find information about mountain climbing, then it might be different than someone else. So there might be there certainly are other websites that don't appear in your search. And I don't think you can do anything against it. So that's how it works. That's what Eli Pariser, the person who coined this filter bubble term, is fighting against. But I think Google, Facebook, and the other internet giants are too strong. But we'll see. Okay, and now the next step, the next stage is sharing. Sharing, of course, is very important, and this is what is different, what makes collections and curation different. We share our content with our PLN, with the Personal Learning Network, and of course we have to know our PLN well to understand what they want. So for example, if we have a PLN of history teachers, I'm sure no one of us will share with them something that is about physics, unless we want them to be involved in some kind of interdisciplinary project. So we have to know who we can share our collection or content curation with. Before you share, of course, you must always credit sources. Always say where you found the photo, or an article and then share it. And also, it is very important that you add a personal value to the sharing content. The personal value means that you personalize it. You say that this activity is great for English language learners, or for mixed ability classes, or that it could work well in a vocational school. So you give something personal to this to the content that you share. That's very important. And now the question is about the tools. At the beginning, I mentioned some RSS tools, and of course there are so many other content curation tools. For example, these here that I'm sure you know of, and I'm sure many of you use them. I've seen in the chat box that you use some of them here. Here I have the results of a survey done by EduBlogs from Australia some years ago. And it was in 2011 or 12, I think, and it is about the tools that educators find most useful for their work. And Digo leads here in this list, followed by Twitter, Evernote, Pinterest, and many others. So as I said, that was a few years ago. So let's see now what your favorite tool is. So another poll now. What is your favorite curation tool? So please feel free to write if you use any of these that you have seen in one of the screens just a few seconds ago, or maybe that you have heard of. So we have Pinterest, Symbaloo, Facebook, Scoopit, Pearltrees, Pocket, Twitter, Facebook. So the question is, what is your favorite tool? Listly, Digo, I don't use them, so we have there are some of you who don't use such tools yet. We have 49 answers. Okay, that's great. And some of you are writing here, okay, in this chat box. That's great. Thank you for your answer. So I'm going to close it now to hide it, and go on with the Evernote is also mentioned here. So I'm going to introduce very, very briefly some of these tools, and then we'll have another poll for those of you who might have changed your mind, or those of you who don't use any of these tools. So I would say that there are two types of tools, first generation and second generation tool. First generation are not very visual, and it's mostly that we have the link and with a lot of tags so that we can search for different content. And it was Digo, for example, was one of the first content curation tools that appeared online. And second generation is a little bit more different. It is more visual, like everything today. And this is an example of Symbaloo. Some of you have already mentioned it. So it is you create a board with these different boxes, and you can delete and add the links, and they will appear as a box. So for example, this is my Symbaloo page, and actually I didn't do it. It was Symbaloo that did it for me. I just typed Web 2.0 tools, and this is what it came up with. And it's a really nice collection of tools. So I like to experiment with what search engines of content creation tools will do for me. And if I want, I can add some new tools and delete those that I don't like. Uh, and my favorite is Pinterest. I use it almost every day. And it also works so that there is a board. You can create as many boards as you want, and then you add pins to it. So pins are actually links, and because of these pins, it's that this tool is called Pinterest. So it is you can have as many pins as you want. You can follow other people, repin their links to your boards, and share the whole board or only one pin with your PLN. So Pinterest. Uh, as I said, this is my favorite tool and I use it on a daily basis. However, this tool is not free. I mean, it is free. You don't have to pay to register, but it works in the way that if I wrote the link here to my Pinterest board, you would be able to see it, but you won't be able to browse through it because unless you register. So they want people to register. They want all of us to be in the club, so to speak, and then I can browse all the other boards by all the other users. When they started some years ago, it was open, so you could just browse through the pins of other users without being registered on Pinterest, but now they changed it. I think they lost users because of that, but still so many people use it, and me too, maybe because I think it works well for me, and maybe when I find a similar tool that is more open, then I'll switch to another. For now, I use Pinterest a lot. Unlike Scoop It is open to everyone, so everyone is welcome. Here I have a welcome slide. So everybody is welcome to browse through Scoop It curation websites without having to register. And here is an example of a Scoop It newsletter, if I can say so, or a Scoop It board by our colleague Nick Beachy. His Scoop It board, Learning Technology News or newsletter, is very, very good, and I highly recommend it. And I have a Scoop It account, but I don't need to log in to browse through the Learning Technology News. So it's open, and this is Scoop It belongs to the type of tools that welcome everyone. You don't have to register for it. So, and it's really great. It also you can do all the things that you can do on Pinterest. You can add your personal value, credit the source, so it's the same. It's a great tool. And another one is Pearltrees. This one that you can see here is Pearltrees that my colleagues in my eTwinning project and I created together for our students. To be honest, we started with Pinterest, and we put all these resources on Pinterest, and then we found out that our students are not able to browse through it, to click these links on Pinterest, and we didn't want our students to we didn't want to bother them with opening an account and registering for Pinterest. So we opted for Pearltrees, and we just shared the link with our students on eTwinning, and they could click all these pages that you could see, and visually it's really appealing, and students liked it. So Pearltrees is like Pinterest, yes, but it is open, so you don't have to register to browse through the boards or newsletters of other curators. Okay, so what about your content curation tool? I have presented Pinterest, Pearltrees, Scoopit, uh, and which of these do you think you would choose? Which of these sounds most, well, the easiest, most useful? Here is the poll, and Digo is here, right? So symbol as well, okay. So you can choose one, only one. Let's see. One for Digo for now, 19 for Pinterest. So many Pinterest and Pearltrees. Symbol only 5, okay. But most of you Pinterest and symbol because they and Pearltrees, sorry, Pinterest and Pearltrees. And why? Can you write it in the chat box, please? So Idora says that she has moved from symbol to Pearltrees. That's interesting. Why? Barbara says it's user-friendly. Martina has just started with it. Simple looks Pearltrees because no registration is needed. Yeah, so that's also one of the important reasons why you choose a tool. Pinterest gives more, says Victoria. It looks nice. Yes, visually it's also appealing. No registration. If you want to browse, yes. I mean, if you want to create your board, you have to register. But if you want to follow other people's boards, you don't have to register. You just you can browse through their Pinterest boards just like that. And I'm now going to give you the link to all the tools on my blog that I just created for you. And then you will be able to access all these tools and see examples and also some other resources. So you will be able to browse through it later on as well. So Pinterest is in the lead, 56, 55 of you, 31 of us think that Pinterest is the best content curation tool. Thank you so much for your votes here. I'm now going to hide it. And let's go on with the last stage. The last stage is about interacting. Here I have a nice graphic also by EduBlogs. And what they want to point out is that content curation is actually a social networking activity, and it used to be called social bookmarking. Maybe it still is, but it's not so much used these days. So it is all about sharing and interacting with our PLN, with our colleagues. For example, when we go to a conference, we tweet, we share the resources on our Pinterest with our PLN, so we actually are in a circle of sharing and interacting. They would then ask us something about it, and we would give more answers or inquire further to find more information. That's right, Gordana. They can all be used for different purposes, and I must say that I have different accounts. I have accounts on almost all of them. I try them out, and then sometimes I use, for example, Pearltrees for my students, and then Pinterest for my own interests, something that I'm passionate about. So it depends on different purposes, as you say, Gordana. Okay, and finally, more pitfalls to be aware of. Filter bubbles I mentioned first, and now also when we collect content online, according to Joyce Seitinger, and this drawing was made by Kate O'Donnell, uh, there are four types of curators. The first one is hoarder. Hoarder is someone who just collects everything. So there are piles and piles of stuff that a hoarder collects. It's not organized and it's not shared. So it's all in a pile. So sometimes I do that too. Scrooge is someone who collects so many things, organizes or classifies them, puts them in different categories, but doesn't share because he's a Scrooge. And that's not me. I always share. The next one is tabloid. Tabloid is someone who collects everything and shares everything, and oftentimes it is irrelevant. And sometimes I do too. I share something that is irrelevant, something that I like for one reason or another. And finally, the last one is the robot. The robot collects everything and then shares everything automatically. Doesn't think who to share with, why. So it's more automatic than he or she doesn't give it much thought. And I must confess, I sometimes do that too. Just share. Sharing is the most important thing for me. Okay, and at the end, I would like to talk about how much time we need to become a good content curator. I'm sure you must be asking this question too. So, how much time is needed to be a good content creator? I'm going to share with you this sketch note that I made based on the ideal content curation practice by Beth Kanter. She was inspired by Harold Jarkey, and he created this three-dimension content curation practice. It's about seeking, sensing, and sharing. So seeking is basically what we mentioned at the beginning. It's choosing a topic and finding information. Sensing, you can see this sieve here. Sensing is filtering. So you filter, you find only, you retain only high quality content, but you also add personal value to it. And the last one is sharing, crediting sources, sharing with your PLN, with your network, and interacting with them in the form of different comments or maybe discussion on Twitter or Facebook. So how much time should be dedicated to each of these steps? So Beth Kanter says that for the first step, seek, you need to do it twice a day, and it should last for 15 minutes. So that would be half an hour in the morning and in the afternoon. Sensing, I can see that someone, Helena says that we need a 48-hour a day. Sensing is only half an hour to an hour daily, and sharing is twice a day as well, 15 minutes, 15 minutes twice. And so it is if we put it all together, if we all add it up, it would be an hour and a half, from an hour and a half to 2 hours and a half. And now I'm asking you, it might seem a lot, and you might be saying to yourself, I don't have so much time. But I'm asking you now, how much time do you spend online checking out content, visiting different websites? How much time per day do you spend online browsing, surfing the internet? Too much. Mariana says 5 to 6 hours per day. 24/7. Yes, Muriel, too many hours. That's right. So you see, this is 2 hours for content curation that you can somehow find in your busy work schedule every day. Do you think so? Do you think that this is possible, that you could spend so you focus on what you are doing. So you know that you are interested in let's say Web 2.0 tools. So you now seek, you try to find information about Web 2 tools. Then you share it. Of course, you choose only a quality content, and then you share it with your network and interact with them. 1 or 2 hours because you don't have so much time. That's right. Okay. Sometimes it's impossible, I know. Sometimes I don't open Pinterest, I don't share anything. Or what I do is I use Twitter, and then I share it on Twitter, and sharing it on Twitter for me also means that I'm keeping it for later, but it doesn't work this way, because so many times I remember that I tweeted about something and then I can't find it. It's impossible to find it. So yes, you have to focus on something and then you find the content about it and share it. Okay, and so this is here is my last slide. I hope that you feel more confident now, and that you will start creating digital content and curating it, and or maybe you have already started doing it. If you have questions, please feel free to ask. As I said, all the resources for this webinar are on my blog, and I'm going to post it here once again. So that you can access all the blog posts or websites that I mentioned in this webinar. If you have questions, please feel free to ask. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. You are also very welcome. And I hope that some of these tools and some of the information that I just shared with you will come in handy in your future work. You are ready to curate. Thank you, Željka. That's great. Of course, if you have questions, you can always find me on Twitter or on Facebook. On Twitter, this is my Twitter handle. And we can, and of course, we are actually, I think we are all connected here. And Facebook as well, so this is my name. You can find me. I'm not eTwinning Hrvatska, but Ariana Blažić. Thank you, Nicoleta. I think I follow you too, right? your Josephina, forks, spoons, and knives, and of course dinner. Okay, so it's dinner time. Thank you, everyone. And bye bye. I'm now going to stop the recording.